Factoring. So the first kind of factoring, the most basic kind, is when you have a GCF. What does GCF stand for? Okay, good. So your greatest common factor. So we've got this polynomial. It's actually a binomial because it's got two different parts, 4x and the 24. And we want to look at for the greatest common factor, which is the largest number that goes into both terms. Now, if you have variables, for it to be in the greatest common factor, then both terms need that variable. Okay? Do both of these terms have an x? No, so the x is not part of the GCF, okay? So then you got to look at the numbers. What's the largest number that goes into both 4 and 24? It's 4, right? No, well, obviously it is, but it's not the greatest common factor. 2 is also a common factor, but it's not the...
How do you learn this? Because I have a hard time. Me too.
Knowing your times tables. Knowing your times tables. So, yeah, 2 is a common factor because 2 goes into 4 and 2 also goes into 24, but it's not the greatest common factor. So, you want to know the largest number that goes into both of them, and that's 4. So, what you do is you take your GCF and you put it on the outside. And then you ask yourself, what multiplies times 4 to get 4x? X. So what you're doing is, it's 1x, yes. What you're doing is your reverse distributive property when you do your GCF. Okay? Reverse distributive property. You multiply across. Plus, what times 4 is 24? 6. And you can check yourself. If you distribute, 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times 6 is 24. Right?
Wow.
So the factors that make up 4x plus 24 is 4 times x plus 6. Okay, so when you say you're factoring, you're looking for what multiplies to get something. Okay?
So that's the answer?
These are the factors. 4 times x plus 6.
That's it.
That's it. If you're just factoring, that's what you do. Now, when we get into chapter 4, we'll have to solve equations by factoring. So we'll put this into equations next week.
Since there's 7 people, can you go through there and let each one do it?
We'll get there. I'm going to show you. I'm just going to build them do harder. Y'all just want to write on my board, though. Okay, give me a second. Let me do a few more examples because I got some harder ones and then we'll do them. All right, so here's another one, simple.
They're both x.
They both have an x. Okay, so if they both have an x, then you need the smallest one in the GCF. Okay, so we're going to have an x. What about numbers?
5.
5 is the largest number that goes into both 15 and 25. Yep. So 5x then is the GCF. Does that make sense to everybody?
The squared is on the x, correct?
Yes.
So why is the x times 3
plus yes.
5 squared? X squared.
Now 5x.
3 plus 5x.
Just listen to me. Just listen, okay? So you want to do reverse distributive property. So you say, what multiplied times 5x to get 15x?
3.
Just 3. You don't need any more x's because you already got one in your GCF. Right?
Yes.
All right. Plus, hang on a second. What times 5 makes 25? 5. And what times x makes x squared? Another way to think about it is, you got 1 right here. They've got 2 up here. How many more do you need?
1 more.
1 more. Does that make sense? All right. So there's your answer right there. KD, what was you going to ask?
Well, this time x, the x is like on the outside with 5 because they got 2 of them.
Because they both have an x, so they have it in common, and that's what greatest common factor is. And so you need an x in the GCF. When you do your greatest common factor, you want to know what they got in common. Okay. So let's do another one. Let's do some more variables here. 45x squared y minus 20x squared y to the third. So I put a y in there too. And that's what x squared. Okay, so let's just talk about, let's do GCF first, okay? Let's do the numbers. The largest number that goes between 45 and 20 is what?
5.
Y'all agree with that?
Yep.
All right. Now, do your variables one at a time. Do both terms have an x?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
What's the smallest x they have?
X squared. Hang on, is that y with that x?
That's an x squared and a y to the third, and that's just a y to the first. Yes.
Is it plus, minus?
It's multiplied. Squished together, it's multiplied. So, since they both have an x squared, they tie, right?
So you can put x.
So I can put x squared in the GCF.
And then the little comma.
Yeah. And then, do they both have a y?
Yes, but it's not.
They're not the same. So if they both have it, you include it, but you pick the smallest one.
Okay, so then you put the little quotation.
Parentheses. Okay, but do y'all understand it's just y, not y to the third?
Yes.
Because the smallest one between y and y to the third is y. Okay. So parentheses.
And it's going to be 4.
Not 4 yet. What times 5 equals 45? 9. Now this has an x squared and this has an x squared, so you don't need any more x's. And this has a y, this has a y. We don't need more y's either.
So minus 4.
Copy the minus 4. Do we need any x's? Do we need any more y's?
No. Yes. Yeah, we need y. We need 2.
They got 3. We got 1. We need how many more?
2.
2 more. So it's y squared.
How does this help you in math?
You got to be able to factor polynomials to solve a lot of things.
Like in the last one, it's 5x times 5x is 25x squared. How can you just do 5x squared on
The-
They both already have x squares.
Okay.
Yeah, they both already have it. So I don't need, this is what you got to multiply times this to get the top.
Okay, so
Hang on. Go ahead, Ed.
It's got it.
Let me sign your agenda.
I got one for So
You promise me you're going your state there?
I swear to God.
So
Okay.
you do 5x squared times y.
Just go ahead and go. And just come straight back.
5x squared y times 9 would be 45x squared y.
Yep.
Okay, 5x squared y times negative 4y squared is 20x squared y to the third power.
So that's how you check it. So when you're factoring, the guy that taught next door to me before Miss Hayes got here, Mr. Murphy, Mr. Ricky Murphy, which is Mr. Murphy's brother, yes, he would call factoring unmultiplying. Okay, he called it unmultiplying.
Not like division.
Yes, but it's saying what multiplies to get something. You're breaking the multiplication up into parts. That's what you're doing. All right, y'all are getting there. We're knocking some screws loose in our brains from Algebra 1.
You need to knock some wood. I can't pick it up.
Me too. All right, this one's called a trinomial because it's got 3 terms, but still same game. We're looking for GCF. So this time you got to do it for all 3 terms.
3.
So the largest number that goes into 18, 12, and 9 is what?
3.
3. Do all 3 terms have a C? What's the lowest?
1.
1C. Good. Do all 3 terms have a D?
Yes.
What's the lowest?
1.
Okay. So 3CD is the GCF for all 3 terms. Does that good with everybody?
18 divided by 3 would be 4.
Try again.
3. 6.
Okay. Do I need any C's for that term?
No, ma'am.
Do I need more D's?
Yes.
Yeah, they got 2. I got 1. I need how many more?
1 more.
1 more. We're good with that. What times 3 is 12?
4.
4. We have 1C. They have 2. So we need how many more?
1 more.
1C. Do I need any more D's?
No, ma'am.
No more D's. Okay. What times 3 makes 9?
3.
Do I need more C? No. Do I need more D? That one's done.
I'm kind of getting it now. I'm trying to get it.
We're getting
What
it?
if you don't? What if you mess up? You don't put the greatest common factor.
If you don't have the greatest common factor right, nothing else is going to factor.
Right.
It won't be the most simplified. Got it? You know, in math, we have to simplify everything all the way.
I think you just hit me hard this time.
Mhm.
I'm not good at that.
Hey, hey, how do you know you're not good at it?
I've been told.
Well, this one ain't gonna tell you that. This one ain't gonna tell you on that. Let's do one more, then we're gonna try some. All right. All right, y'all. We're not gonna talk about it in here, okay? All right. What
12.
the largest number that goes into 24 and 36?
12.
Who's saying you can't do this?
What's that beside the M?
P. M N P. And that's an N. That's a square. Is that what you're talking about?
Right here beside the
It's a square. There we go.
12 is the highest.
12 is the largest number. Do both terms have an M?
Yes, ma'am.
So what's the lowest one they got?
Squared.
M squared. Okay.
N's the lowest. One N.
Do they both have an N?
Yep.
Yep. And the N by itself is the lowest. Do they both have a P?
No, got a P.
So put your circle half say.
Yeah. So I don't put P in GCF if they both don't have a P, right?
Right.
Okay.
2.
What times 12 is 24?
2.
They have M squared, I have M squared, so I'm straight on M's, right? N, same thing.
3.
They got 1, I got 1, I'm good with N's, right?
2 times.
But I still need a P, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I got to put a P right there to make this multiply to get this.
You always keep the sign the same.
Yes.
I know what I just did. I thought y'all was on the 36.
I'm getting there. Now you help me. What times 12 is 36?
3.
3. They got M squared, I got M squared. Do I need any more of those?
No, ma'am.
They got N squared, and I got 1 N, so what do I need?
Give me one more.
One more.
One more N. And that one didn't have any P, so I'm done on that one.
All right, now.
We good?
I'm getting bad on this.
Okay. On your own paper.
Thought you were gonna let us use the computer.
Do it on your paper first. I ain't gonna let you do bad math on my computer.
My next computer.
Only person allowed to do bad math on it's me. Because I mess up sometimes.
Sure, not.
I'm not Jesus. I mess up. Y'all try those two.
I need a little help over
First, what's the largest number it goes into?
here.
The bigger one.
6.
6 don't go over 9. 4 don't go into 9.
6 is multiplication. 9.
9 goes in 36, huh?
Yep, 4 times. Well, the only thing that goes into 9 period is 1, 3, and 9.
4, 4, and 1 go in 9.
16, 1.9.
Not evenly. Not
4
with that.
plus 4 plus 1 is 9.
I think I got from
Oh.
You rather both of them?
Do both of them. What goes into 2?
2.
2's prime. So 1 and 2 is the only thing that goes into 2.
I'm going to use 2. Hold on. They got an A and I got an A right there. I got 3 A's.
They all got an A.
So
Pick the smallest.
I just want to be Then they look at my B. Small with B squared. Like to do so, like I think my
Yeah, you just gotta do it 3 times. You got 3 different problems, 3 different parts. Check it with somebody else. Y'all check them with somebody when y'all get done. This feels like Algebra 1 class today.
Check your 2 A's, 3
Or,
Q.
oh, Slade, did you have Mr. Murphy?
It should be squared.
I miss him so much. Like,
He was such a great teacher, he was funny.
Think about it, you only
he
use
was
one
so
right
laid
there.
back and chill about everything.
And
He gave us a little homework.
you're using one, and there's 3 right here. So that means
I
you
still
still
have all
have
my
2
notes and
left.
stuff on him.
So it would be
He was
2.
great.
That A right there should be 2.
He never did raise his. I never had to do over there. He was just like, I'm doing right.
He's always thinking you did.
No, this one, you've got 2 out here. And there's only, you got 2 right there, and there's 3 right here, so you only need 1 more to make 3. You don't need to do that. No. So you only need.
You don't play with little kids either.
No, I never, that's why
I
I'm
can hate child school.
My choice. I got kicked out of a Christian academy when I was
Y'all
little. Okay.
I do good to help my kindergartner.
So you wouldn't need an A right there, because you got the only A it has on the outside. You wouldn't have that.
I just need that B.
You just need.
I
You
mean,
don't need
elementary school
anything.
kids are still wetting their pants.
On this, no, you
Seriously.
need, so it would be an A. A. You got one on the outside, you can do that right. And you wouldn't need a B. You've got the only bit, you've got the B multiplied by on the outside. You got to be close on.
All right. Do I have a volunteer for the first one? KD.
Get right on board.
Hmm. Do that 9x squared plus 30. You gotta explain why you're doing it.
All right. So y'all see this right there, right?
No, they can't see.
Well, look right here. We already got a 9 right there. So we're gonna go in the 9.
9 goes into 9.
Okay.
9 goes in 36 too.
You're doing your GCF for both of them.
Okay.
So what's the GCF between x squared and x? Yep.
And then what you put after that, the parentheses, and then we're gonna go. How many times 9 going there?
1.
Oh, okay, y'all got it good. Y'all ain't. So
You said x, not 1.
Yeah.
There you go. Talk about the x.
and then
Talk about the x.
all right. So like the X's, we got 2 over here. So and we only got 1 over here. So how many y'all think we just need 1?
We
Right?
need 1 more to make 2.
Right. Okay. So what about this 36 right here? How many
9
times?
goes in 36 both
Seven.
times.
4 times. No, 4.
That means intervention. Okay.
I'm gonna help you over. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna work with you. You stay after school.
It's
Look,
Friday.
we don't need no more X's, because we got all the X's we need on the outside.
Right.
So you just finish your principle.
Oh, I need to change some stuff.
You need intervention.
All right, raise your hand if you got 9x times x plus 4.
Right here.
Good
On the
job.
second one.
Good job. Hey,
Thank
he looked and sounded just like me, right?
Close enough. Well, a little bit more hand waving, but
Yeah.
The hair flopping in the wind and
All right.
everything.
Little more. Better right. Better right. Then we'll be good.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
All right.
We've got
2a squared plus
That's not square.
That's
cubed b cubed plus 8a b squared plus 16a squared b squared. Okay, so what the smallest thing that goes into 8 and 6, largest thing that goes into 8 and 16 is 2. Okay.
You mean 2, 8.
So 2. All right. The small A is the smallest thing
Yep,
we
that's
got.
small.
So
This A.
this writing kind of
That's a
weird.
little light.
And then it's gonna be B squared, cause
Yeah.
B squared is the
Yeah.
smallest.
Yep, you're right.
Put your little parentheses.
Okay.
Hey,
What next, KD?
You gonna have to well what goes into 2
It's 1. 1 goes into 2. 2 goes into 2 one time.
Can I leave the 1 off my paper because I didn't put the 1
No, you can't do that because we need to know about how many.
But it's mathematically the same thing.
But
Yeah,
it
you
no.
can. No. We take the credit off.
I'm the teacher. You do what I say.
No.
This is a dictatorship.
Okay.
You gotta be nice, 'cause
We
she
say
got-
we all have to put the movie.
Okay. I'll
Mr.
count
Dillon.
off on y'all's quiz then if y'all don't put
Mr. Dillon,
No. Mr. Dillon.
tell her yeah, cause she gonna be a teacher again.
Yeah, you're gonna be a teacher. You're gonna have to learn it the right way.
Okay.
All right. So we got 1A right there. So we need 2 more.
So I'll get 2 more. We don't need no more. We don't need but number 1B.
But
All
wait, what kind of A is that?
That's the kind you write. Okay. We got 2 right here, so we only need 1 more B.
Right. You gonna add
Plus 4.
4,
Where'd that 4 come from? Don't say no 4.
2
2
times 4 goes in 8.
or 2 times.
You're supposed to
8 divided by 2 is 4.
So nobody can see
And then you gonna add again.
Okay.
I'll see what I feel.
Cause we don't
You don't need no A because we already got that covered.
we don't even need no B.
We don't need no B, so we just gonna add again.
What if I would have put a minus?
I said
No, you got to do it just like the equation because you're multiplying. You don't throw a negative in there, mess it all up. All right. 2 times
8.
8. Yep, you're right.
And then all we need is just the 1A. This all close out.
1A, close the parentheses. There you go.
Where did B's go?
No, they on the outside. They on the outside of the parentheses.
Good job. Did y'all get that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, I guess I can leave that 1 off. If y'all leave that 1 off, it's okay. I'm a nicer teacher than Mr. Dillon here.
No, we need to see where it's going.
Yes. Okay. So, let's do trinomials.
Trinomials. Negative.
Trinomials.
Negative.
Oh, I'll make it easy. Come on.
Didn't we just do one with the 3 equations?
Yes. But these are quadratic trinomials with 1 variable. Quadratic. Okay, so let's talk about what a quadratic is, because the whole next chapter is nothing but quadratics. Now, quadratic. Actually, they're simpler. A quadratic is when you only got 1 variable, and the highest exponent is a square. Okay, quadratic, you only got 1 variable, and the highest exponent is a square. So, I did. I said quadratic, and y'all flipped out.
We don't understand big words.
Well, it
Okay,
was.
so would 9x squared be a quadratic equation?
Yes.
It's only got 1 variable in the highest.
You just made me write a 9, and I didn't want to. Yes.
12.
Okay.
And the try means there's 3.
3 terms. X squared, 8x, and 15. Okay. So, factoring trinomials. Now, if you had a different Algebra 1 teacher than me, you might have done this a little bit differently, but I'm going to show you how my kids did it, okay? Okay? So, for a trinomial, you got this end term right here, and then you got a middle term, okay? If the leading term is a 1, which means there's only a 1 in front of the x squared, and if there's nothing in front of x squared, it's assumed to be a 1, okay? And this one is, so these are simple ones. So we're going to start simple, and we'll just save the hard ones for next week. So you ask yourself, what multiplies to get your last term that will add to get your middle term?
8.
Okay, so this is your last term. This is your middle term. Okay, without the x's. But
We get this over there. That looks like
you did. I told you it was algebra 1. So let's think about everything that multiplies to get 15. There's only 2 sets of numbers.
5 and 3.
1 times 15 and 5 times 3, right?
yes, ma'am.
Which set of those numbers add to make 8?
5 and 3.
5 and 3. And both of these are positive. So both of the factors are x plus 5 times x plus 3. So if I multiply these together, which would be FOIL method from Algebra 1, you would get back this quadratic equation.
Yeah, I did it as an algebra 1.
I know you did.
It was easy.
Yeah, it was.
I need to tell Miss Hayes this came in good hands.
I told you it was. Okay, I know Miss Hayes told you 1,000 times you're going to have to know how to factor for Algebra 2.
It came in good hands. Yes, ma'am, and it come in good hands.
He sit here bragging, Miss Hayes.
Which benefits? I
I know.
Me too. I just got a brain that remember.
It's still fresh for some of us. I just taught it last week, so. All right, here's another one.
Multiply 6 and then
2 and 3. 2
Yeah.
and 3 is the number.
Yeah, multiply to get 6 and add to get 5. And what are the 2 numbers?
Well, I got a question.
Yeah.
What's the x squared? Oh, it's in
Okay.
both equations.
Yes, because if I multiply these together, x times x is x squared.
X squared.
Okay.
And then I do 3 times x plus 5x is 8x, and then 5 times 3 is 15. FOIL method gets you back to it.
So we'll go one.
So we're adding to get 5. So it's either 1 and 6 or 2 and 3, because that's all that multiplies to get 6, right?
It's not gonna work. 2 and 3.
So which one adds to get 5?
2 and 3.
2 and 3. So my 2 binomial factors are x plus 2 and x plus 3. Yeah.
I think we should do the homework. X plus 2.
Well, those are all plus signs. What about you got negative signs?
You just swap the problems.
No, it's not that easy. Let's
You
see.
got to start out with bigger numbers. So when you subtract them, they. Alright.
So you ask yourself, what multiplies to get what?
16 and what adds to get negative 3.
Adds to get negative 10. Now let's think about signs for a second. If it multiplies to get a positive, if there's 2 numbers that multiply to be positive numbers, that means they either both have to be positive or they both have to be negative, right?
Negative numbers, they need to be negative.
So, but if they're going to add to be a negative, they need to be 2 negatives, right? Because if I add 2 positives, I get a positive. So signs matter, okay? So let's name some things that multiply to get 16 then. Negative 8, negative 2, negative 1, negative 16, negative 4, negative 4.
The 82 is what you need.
Yeah, and these 2 are the ones that add to get negative 10. So my 2 factors are x minus 8 and an x minus 2.
But you got to do negative.
If I multiply them, I get positive.
Can I show you something that can help with that, the negative and the positive?
What can help?
On your board, your little chart.
You show me a little bit.
Alright, so y'all have it.
Keep it up there. All right.
Number 9.
I'll be glad next week that I went over this today.
So 18 multiplied and 7 added.
Watch your signs. Multiplies to get negative 18 and adds to get a negative 7. Okay, well, second now. If we multiply to get a negative, you got to have one of each, don't you? And another trick, if it adds to be a negative, the bigger one's going to have to be a negative.
So 9 and 2.
Okay, so let's try 9 and 2.
9 and 2 makes 7. If 2 added.
Okay, so that needs to be a
Negative 9 and positive.
and a positive 2. Does that make sense? So do those 2 multiply to get a negative 18?
Yes, ma'am.
Do they add to get negative 7?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
8 minus 9.
Uh-huh.
X plus 2.
Now, it doesn't matter the order you write these two parentheses. Like you can put this one in front of this one. You just got to make sure the negative goes with the 9 and the positive goes with the 2.
Yes, ma'am.
Because if you don't, it won't add to be a -7. Okay?
Oh,
I just hope this is ringing a little bit of bells for us.
I just think it was so hard in Algebra 1. Like, when we first started doing it.
And now you're like, can we do this all year?
Never had to work out page equation.
Okay.
We got
Positive 3.
I know, it's scary, isn't it?
we got a.
Wait. Multiply to get what?
Negative 18.
And we add to get.
Positive 3.
So if you get the x with it, you add it. If it's by itself, you
It'll
multiply.
be 6 and 3.
Okay, so what signs do we need? 2 negative, 2 positive, or one of each?
6, positive.
And
No, it is positive 6, negative 3.
Yeah.
Right, okay. If this one's negative, you need one of each. And whatever sign this one has over here is what sign the bigger one needs to be. Does that make sense? Okay, so y'all say positive 6, negative 3. Check it. Does it multiply to get
Yes,
this?
ma'am.
Does it add to get this?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So what are my 2 factors?
X plus 6 and X minus 3.
Very good.
We ready for some more?
Y'all want homework?
No.
Not if you don't assign it, but like if you do assign it, can we start?
Yeah, if you go.
How about I assign 2 for y'all to work on your paper?
You know what? She loves us so much, she's not even going to do that.
I don't love you that much.
What's the number for you?
All right, that's the end of the lesson.